you just talk to them. And whatever they say, you go in that direction. If that's where it goes, it goes. And if you don't get to all your questions, well, we'll get to it next conversation. So that's the way that when I interview people, that's the way that I do it. And I have an agenda, but if I don't get to all of that, that's fine. But I tell people up front, like, plan 3 hours here because that's how much time we're going to take for this conversation. And wherever it goes, it goes.
It seems like you have a very similar approach that even when I started, I like to prepare and get questions on the list. And I think like in any sport in life, you got to prepare and plan. But I always say be able to abandon the plan for a higher serendipitous answer or encounter. And so if the conversation goes in a different way, you just follow that path. And surprisingly, that if I do that instead of just follow a script, it becomes way more fun, typically for me, for the guests, for the listeners, instead of just following A to Z. And I actually think it works the same way in business. If you present, I don't know, actually, maybe we can get to your speeches and how you prepare for speeches, maybe on the stage you by yourself, so there's not that much interaction. But if I'm presenting to C-level executives and I have a pitch and slides and a very refined story, but then 1/3 through, they ask me a question and I want to go a different direction. How do you follow that thread and adjust instead of saying, well, I'll park this and let me tell you my story that they may not be interested in hearing the reminder 2/3 of it. But I find many people make that mistake and then they ponder why their business pitch or something had failed because they didn't recognize that moment they could have taken a very different direction.
So my answer to that one, specific to, let's say, a sales presentation, is that I don't want anybody ask me a question while I'm giving my presentation. So I will frame it as, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, then this. And any questions you have, write them down or hold them to the end. I'll answer all your questions when I'm done, because I don't want them to throw me off with a question, because in a sales presentation specifically, the person who's asking the questions is controlling the conversation. So if I allow the people I'm pitching to start asking me questions, they take control, they hijack my sales presentation. So I don't want them to hijack me. So, and I remember I was in network marketing and that happened, and it didn't happen to me, but it happened to my partner. So we were both given the presentation. So they would do the first half, I would do the second half, and they didn't frame it properly. And they let the people in the audience start asking them questions while they were giving the presentation, and it threw them completely off, and they lost the respect of the audience.